guys, welcome back to my vegan kitchen. I've got a great recipe for you today. It's for baklava. There's many forms that baklava can take. You know, the familiar triangles with the honey dripped on it. I had made it for years for Thanksgiving, but since going vegan, the butter, the honey, I stopped making it every year and made something else, and now I'm revisiting a vegan version of baklava. So you can use any nuts that you would like to use. I like to go a little traditional and use walnuts. You could also use almonds, you could use pistachios. So we've got 1 pound of walnuts that I've crushed up in a bag because I apparently hate the environment, but come on. Alright, so this is 1 pound. I use the old rolling pin trick, you know, you hit the bag and then things get smaller. You can leave some pieces a little bit big. I don't like everything pulverized into a powder. It's not my style. Next ingredient is some coconut sugar. We're going to be adding 1/3 of a cup. Oh, alright. This actually fits in here this time. I hate when the measuring thing doesn't fit in the container. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I like a lot though. So I'm probably using like 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then cloves. This is a not often used ingredient. Reminds me of when my dad used to do Sunday dinner. There always used to be something with cloves in it. Or for Easter. Alright, so that's 1/3 of a teaspoon of clove. It's pretty powerful. It's got a strong scent, so you don't need a lot of it. That's all of the ingredients that go into this part. You're just going to want to mix this up really well. Get everything all combined. Then comes the tricky part. The phyllo dough. Everyone's worst nightmare, seemingly. Everybody gets intimidated by working with phyllo dough, but you really shouldn't. It's just paper thin dough. Wheat flour. Yeah, paper thin dough. Alright, so this looks great. Here's the phyllo dough. Oh, so intimidating. I can't do this. Sure you can. You can. You can do it. I'm going to protect the table here. Not that it needs protecting, but I just like to work on a piece of paper like in case things go horribly wrong, but they won't. Here's half of the package. I usually use half the package for a batch of phyllo. I use the other half for some other holiday. I forget what it was. It comes wrapped in this plastic. It comes in the frozen department. Before you use it, the day before, put it in the refrigerator and let it thaw out in the refrigerator. You don't want to do anything that's going to shock it because it's very delicate. That's why people get upset about working with phyllo dough, because it's delicate. Now I remember why I wanted to protect the table, because I want to keep this on the table underneath a sheet, like a corpse.
What?
You know, at the morgue.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it to dry out, because you see what happens when it dries out? It rips. And you want this to be in a nice whole piece. So you're going to take a damp paper towel.
That's a dish towel.
Dish towel. A damp dish towel. Keep it over that because you don't want it to rip. I'm going to take another piece of paper here to work on as my work surface. In here, I have melted the butter. You're going to need a lot of butter. I'm not going to tell you how much because you're going to get upset now. They say to use like a half a cup to a cup of melted butter, but I've melted this much so far. That's almost a half of a cup. I don't like to go too heavy on the butter because that's not good for you. So you start, remove it quickly. Take your first sheet. Take your time. Again, it's delicate. And then I like to fold this in half. You know, I make these differently every time I make them, depending on how I feel that day. But today we're making little cigars. Cigars, you know, young Frankenstein. So I have a pastry brush, synthetic of course, and just going to brush this as best we can without tearing it up. Try and cover all of the parts. Don't worry, you're going to add more on the outside when you're done. That'll help moisten it up so that it doesn't break apart so much. We're going to put like a tablespoon or so on this end, and then we're going to roll it up like a cigar. Don't worry, some will come out. It's okay, we'll just stick it back in the bowl. And then I have my greased stoneware over here. You don't have to do it in the stoneware. I'm just going to place it in here. We're going to do all of the rest of the sheets just like that. Line it up in the pan. I might have too much for this pan. I'll have to do another pan. It's not going to be tragic. I really shove them in here. It's probably better to have a little bit of room in between each, but this is what I'm working with. So I did heat up another 1/3 of a cup of butter to butter the tops of this so that they get nice and crispy and flaky. And I'm going to pop this in the oven now for about 30 to 35 minutes at 350 degrees. And as this is cooking, we're going to be making the syrup on the stove, because you're going to want to put the syrup on this when it comes out of the oven. You don't want to do it cold. That will make it soggy. So we're going to pop this in here. Bye! Be delicious when I come back. Alright, we're going to make the syrup now. I've got my pan for on top of the stove. I've got a 1/2 cup of water. I'm going to need a 1/2 cup of sugar. Hopefully... Nope. I guess only the 1/3 and 1/4 cup fit in there. So I'm using coconut sugar. Yeah, it's okay. Whoa. Oh, I almost dropped that. Alright, and we are going to be putting in about a teaspoon or so. Yeah, about a teaspoon. That's about a teaspoon of cinnamon. A teaspoon of lemon juice. Oh, alright, I'm not going to measure this, but about a 1/3. No, I'm lying. It's a 1/4 cup of agave. Alright, we're going to bring this up to the boil, but as soon as it boils, turn it down to a simmer. And we're going to cook it until it starts to get thick. Alright, we did have a little bit of this mixture left over, but that's boring. I could just put that on something else, like my granola or something. But for a little bit of flavor contrast, I'm chopping up some salted pistachio nuts. After we put the syrup on the baklava, you're going to want to sprinkle some of these on there because it's going to be a nice salty sweet treat. Alright, this just came out of the oven and now it's time to make magic. This is what your syrup should look like. Just a little bit thicker than regular like water. So now you're just going to spoon this on and you're going to hear it sizzle.
Ooh!
Oh yeah!
That's a beautiful sound.
Right. You don't want to drown these too much. You just want to make sure that they get coated.
Gigi!
That cat really likes baklava. You don't want to have any dry spots. You want everything to be glistening. The heat is actually going to help the syrup get sucked into the inside of the baklava. And now for the finale. Make sure you drop lots of these on the table so that you can eat them. Now you gotta let it cool off. You can't eat it yet. You have to wait like 2 to 4 hours. It's been several hours later and what have we here?
Beautiful baklava.
Here we go. Let's
Ready?
give it a taste.
Oh, this looks so good.
Why, thank you. I made it myself.
Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Ooh! It's even better than I remembered.
Really? You know what I think takes it over the top?
Pistachios.
Yep.
Ooh, that's good.
All right.
That was really good.
I hope you try it. I really hope you try it. So, thumbs up, subscribe, I'd be ever so happy. Wouldn't you? Thanks a lot, guys. We really appreciate you. And until next time, much love.